listening to Smooth 98.1. Love music, love life. The show is called Smooth's Breakfast. My name is Valentine Ohu, your host. I'm joined by two wonderful ladies. They're doing the Lord's work. Bisaya Adegbugbe is my guest, my in studio guest. Good morning, Bisaya.
Hi, good morning, Valentine.
Welcome.
Thank you very
Can't see your
much.
face beyond the mask. But it's okay, don't worry. You're safe. You're safe. We're fully vaxxed out. So we're good. Beside Eric Bigwe is the communications manager at Stand to End Rape Stairs Initiative. And Fumi Bokno is joining me virtually. Hi, Fumi. Good.
Hi, good
Hello.
morning.
How are you? Is it raining in your part of town?
No, but it's cloudy.
Ah, it's about to rain then. All right, thank you so much for joining the conversation today. Fumi Bokno is HR Madam. If you know HR Madam, you know Fumi Bokno. HR specialist, everything business, everything work and lifestyle, especially how people should act in the workplace. Now, today's topic will be focused on workplace sexual harassment, understanding what sexual harassment is, the ambit of which really exist in the workplace, and how we should, first of all, identify them when we see them. Such behaviors are seldom looked at as serious offenses by ignorant folk, and I'll say that deliberately because a lot of us need to learn so much more about the unusual behavior that we exhibit in our workplace, right? So, Bisaya Adegbigbe will be explaining to us some of her from some of these things, giving us some of the knowledge, and HR Madam as well, give us an insight as to how we should carry and yeah, comport ourselves in offices, especially the guys. Because I read through the report on there was a research brief on examining the prevalence, context, and impact of workplace sexual harassment in Nigeria, and the statistics are damning on the guys. So we need to act better today. So let's start. First of all, sending messages to WhatsApp 0809 444 0981. But would like you to call us live. 0144899981 is the number to call. I'll start with you, Bisayo. What do you how do you describe sexual harassment?
Okay, so sexual harassment can be defined as any unwelcome sexual advances from anyone, and also it could be verbal, it could be physical, and also non-verbal. And it's also important to note that a sexual behavior that is unwelcomed is considered unwelcomed because it's the person that is
Being harassed?
yeah, the person that is being harassed, it's kind of like a subjective form when okay, it's actually when the person being subject to that sexual harassment that can actually define if it's sexual harassment or not.
Fumi, you heard Bisayo's definition or description of sexual harassment. She said it's subjective, so it varies from person to person. What I would describe as sexual harassment might not be the way you see it as being sexually harassed. But if how do we recognize sexual harassment in the workplace, Fumi?
Okay, so the litmus test for it is that it must be harassment to the person and to a reasonable amount of people as well. And I think that maybe if I just want to explain further what Sayo has said. So if, for example, you and I now, Valentine,
Mm,
we're colleagues,
mm,
we're buddies, like
mm,
you can hug me and
mm.
it's okay with me. But if you hug her, for example, and she says, "Oh no, I don't like guys hugging me, or I don't like you in particular hugging me," then it is harassment.
Mm.
So it must be offensive to the person and to a reasonable, number of people as well in some instances. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yes, I do.
So, for example, if you tell me, oh, another colleague who does that work, but to me, it is harassment and you should take it as such. Don't say, oh, what's wrong with her? Why is she forming? What's there? No, it is there. You get.
Mm.
So I think that's what it is.
Which means there are gray areas that exist because if something has subjective interpretations, like you said, Bisayo, it means that I would just be walking on eggshells, right? But what are those gray areas that one could, I don't know, what are those gray areas? I wouldn't say overlook.
Okay,
So go ahead.
so obviously there are gray areas to sexual workplace harassment, and these gray areas can actually cause like if they're left to linger, they can cause a lot of workplace, a lot of toxic workplace behaviors, and knowing where to set the boundary when it comes to space, when it comes to probably the history of your relationship with the person, like Fumi also said, the tone of your voice, your body language, knowing how to set all those boundaries can actually distinguish or actually make those gray areas become clearer, so you already know, oh, am I overstepping my boundary or not.
So you mean when the hug becomes too long, or is and possibly if a lady hugs me because I could be sexually harassed
Yes,
as a
of
guy,
course, yes.
right?
Right.
Fumi, you were saying,
Yeah, I said all too tight.
or too tight, or it lingers to a point where a lady starts rubbing my back, and I find
Exactly.
it uncomfortable.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So yeah, other different
Exactly.
types like
So also,
Yeah, go on, Fumi.
okay, yeah, I was going to say that also there are certain things that are outright, like outright they are sexual harassment,
Mm.
and they're like the subtle ones, like we so
Bisayo, yes.
So I mean, of course, raping someone at work, that's sorry, yeah. So I mean, raping somebody at work, that one is outright harassment,
Mm.
and things like touching somebody, kissing somebody unwanted, and as long as it's unwanted,
Mm. Mm.
so those ones are outright. But even making compliments about somebody's appearance
Mm-hmm.
when they don't like it, it is sexual harassment.
Interesting. What if I feel like you're sexually harassing me, but to you, I mean, I've been hugging Val like this. I've been making these comments. I've been flirting with him. He didn't complain until now. When does it stop
Hmm.
becoming normal? And now
The
veer off.
moment the person says, I don't want it, the moment, so even if we've been chummy before and you
Yes.
hug me and you say certain things to me, the moment, the day you say those things, or the moment, or the day you do those things, and I say, no, I'm not, or I don't like that, then
Mm.
take it as the person doesn't want it. Don't then say, Shebi, I hugged you yesterday. Shebi, you were in my house yesterday. Shebi, no, I mean, then it has become sexual harassment.
Mm. That's almost like saying to a guy who comes to visit you, and I'm saying a guy because I'm a guy, right? It would be
Mm.
a bit selfish of me to regard the ladies in that sense. But if a guy comes to visit you at your home and then say, Shebi, you came to visit me in my house. Now, what did you expect? If you came to my office, probably I wouldn't expect this kind of things. That's where it crosses the line. But Bisaya, thank you for me for explaining that. Bisaya, you're going to say that there are other forms of the other gray areas that exist.
yes.
For
So
sure.
you have the verbal, like I said, the non-verbal and physical. So non-verbal, you can be staring at someone for a long time, or blocking someone's path in the office, or giving someone a personal gift. So those are things that are not
When
actually
you say
said.
personal gifts, please.
Yeah, like personal gifts, like like buying someone, how will I put it now,
Lingerie,
less lingerie, anything intimate,
intimate gifts. Okay.
yeah, intimate gifts.
Mm.
So that's a form of sexual harassment, even though nothing was said, nobody was touched, but it's also a form of sexual harassment. So these are all there are so many variants of it, or like Fumi said as well, telling someone a very some jokes about sexually sensitive
Inappropriate jokes,
jokes, yeah,
yes.
inappropriate jokes and all that,
Mm.
or displaying a sexually suggesting visual at work, or things like that. They are also a form of sexual harassment that people don't even know. And like you said, and also what Fumi said,
Mm.
it's only when you're able to communicate clearly and set those boundaries that you can know, oh, okay, sorry, I didn't know I was overstepping, the boundary and stuff like that.
Wow. I have a feeling I'm going to learn so many things from this conversation today that I never knew. But stay tuned to Smooth's Breakfast. My name is Valentine. I have my special guest, Fumi Bokno, HR Madam, HR consultant, and human resources expert. Beside Adere Gbigbe, communications manager at Stand to End Rape Initiative, STAIRS. When we come back, we'll be looking at a research brief that STAIRS sent to me earlier that I looked at. I was like, my goodness, is this how many people have been sexually harassed, and how many people are sexually harassing their peers in the office? You need to learn. Please call us on 0144899981 after this.
World class station. Hey, what's up? This is
Hi, Fumi. I think there's a lag.
Hi.
I think there's a lag on the line, all right? So don't.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's not your fault. I've been experiencing it all morning. So when you hear me and you feel like the voice is trailing off, don't worry. Just take the cue and speak after I've stopped talking.
Okay.
It's interesting. So we'll focus on when we come back, we'll start looking at the numbers, the research. Let's give a summary.
Please, I can barely hear you.
Can you hear me? Can
Yeah,
you?
I can hear you, but you're faint, so maybe I don't know.
But when we're on air, can you hear me clearly?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
All right. Well, we'll turn on the mic then.
Okay.
Let's go back.
banking experience.
This is the first time already.
Providus
I love it.
Bank.
But
Future
speak up, please.
forward
Go
banking.
back.
Providus Bank. Future forward banking.
Glad to know you're there with us. You're listening to Smooth Breakfast on Smooth 98.1. The two ladies in the studio with me, Bisayo Adegbe, Communications Manager, Stand to End Rape Initiative. I once worked with you guys at STAIRS. I produced a
That's
documentary
nice.
3 years ago, actually, for you. And then I have Fumi Bokno, HR Madam, the only HR Madam herself, HR consultant and human resources expert. We're here speaking on the issue of workplace sexual
Hi.
harassment. Hi. And before the break, if you just joined us, just a bit of recap. We started by explaining what sexual harassment is, and also appreciating the fact that it can be subjective. So what one person can regard as sexual harassment might not be the other person's interpretation, but it behooves on the one who's being harassed or who feels harassed to explain to the other person when they are crossing the boundaries, or to say no, simply, I don't like this behavior, it's bad. And once you hear that, that's a signal for you to know that you're going beyond the line, the safety line. Is there a safe word for me that you encourage staff to use?
Not that I am aware of.
Mm.
And I don't even think that when you have a case of unwanted conversations around sexual harassment, I don't think that you should have a safe, but I think you should be forthright and say it as it is and say, oh, I don't like
Mm.
just stop.
So if somebody buys me boxers as birthday gifts, what should I do? What should be the acceptable way of me saying, I don't like this. I don't like the fact that he bought me boxers. It's just very intimate on his own. Should I say it that way, or say it be more firm in my assertion? For me. All right, there's a bit of lag on the line, but we'll go to the phone lines because there's a call coming through. Hello, good morning. Good morning to you. Your name? Hey, Buku, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. Do you have a question or comment? Okay.
Also other aspects which we haven't really looked at, maybe because it's still early in the program. When you talk about sexual harassment, apart from the fact that it's inappropriate, unwelcome, offensive, there's also the future that with most times it comes with someone who is in a higher position, and what it does is there's a bit of intimidation involved. So the person feels intimidated. The person is quite my if I don't yield to his or her advances, what will happen to my career path? What will happen to my promotion? What will happen to my my workspace in the office? And so you have that bit of intimidation there and hostility going on that can make a toxic work environment. That's the one thing I wanted to point out. And that in most times in corporate organizations, you have code of conduct, as Madam Hika will understand. You have maybe a whistleblower, sexual
Policies.
over
Yeah.
but it's more lacking in the informal sector. Not to say that it doesn't go on in both parts. I mean, for a one-man business or a small business, you may have sexual harassment there. And as I know, these policies have also extended to third parties that the company engages in. For example, if I'm a supply manager or a procurement manager in a company, and there's a female lady that wants to do hampers we have 5,000 clients in Lagos for Christmas, and I start demanding see me at the XYZ hotel at 8 o'clock, so let's conclude this. Things like that are also prevalent in the workplace. I just wanted to add that as well.
Ibuku, you're on the money. Thank you so much. Your head is there, actually, like people would say. You're connecting with the next line of thoughts that we're about to share. And that's the research brief that was shared by the stairs. They've conducted a research on a number of people on examining the prevalence, context, and impact of workplace sexual harassment in Nigeria. Besides, you want to throw light on this?
Yes, please. Okay, so the workplace sexual harassment study it was done last year in 2020, and the insight that we got to even start this research was we had some other studies that were done in the legal sector in Nigeria, and the prevalence rate of workplace sexual harassment was 63.5. And also across various employment sectors in Lagos State, another study was done, and that was 73.7%, which is a very high rate. So we decided to also do our findings on this subject matter as well, and also like the trend of the results were alarming, and we had about 64% of our participants who partook in the study had a complaint of sexual harassment of one form or the other, and from this 64%, 85% of them were female and 15% of them were male. And also another alarming fact was 91% of perpetrators or the abusers were male as well. And it just, okay, to throw more light to what Ibukun even said as well, that, according to the cadre of the hierarchy at the workplace, about 48% of the 91% of the perpetrators were actually their peers, the colleagues, and 41% were senior colleagues, while 1%, 10% were actually customers or clients of the organization, and 1%
just directly related to what you just said.
exactly, yes. Exactly. Then 1% were junior colleagues. So that was what was done those were our findings. Now, the more important finding, why we even feel this is a major problem, is because in the organizations where these people worked, only about 38% of people who even experienced this sexual harassment actually spoke up and reported it, and 81% of those people did not really get any support from their employers or their organization, which means it's like they just reported for nothing, which also shows the reason why a lot of people don't even come up to say, oh, I was sexually harassed, because they know nobody's going to do anything about it. So this means there's a huge lag or a huge gap in institutional responses to workplace sexual harassment. So that's...
Thank you so much for mentioning these things. Besides, it was good to know and put a number to it. You carried out this research on 493 participants in a period of 12 months.
Yes.
And it's interesting to note that there are forms of sexual harassment as highlighted in your reports. You said the most reported forms, constituting about 45%, is being looked at in a sexual way.
Yes.
Receiving unwanted sexual harassment, sexual comments or remarks about their clothing and accessories, 44%. Like you said, being told sexual jokes and stories that made you uncomfortable, 43%. Receiving sexual comments or remarks about their bodies, I get this a lot, 35%. They should count me in. Being told crude, gross sexual things and asked about or talk about sexual matters, which I feel like we can all relate or connect ourselves with some of these things, but you seldom hear people speak about these issues. But for me, what would you say is encouraging the seeming culture of silence that exists in Nigerian offices, in our offices generally? on this matter?
Okay, I think that Bisayo has mentioned majorly what the issues are. But I think that the fundamental issue is that we as the people, we don't even like to speak up and we don't like to report situations. So you have situations where people even come and report things to you as HR and you tell them, okay, as HR, I'm going to take this up, but I need you to send me an email, for me to be able to facilitate the process. And it's at that point that people, like say, oh no, I'm not interested. I would rather leave the organization, maybe get another job. So I think that as a people, as Nigerians, we don't even, especially when the person that you want to report is senior to you or older than you are, then people don't like to take it up. So I think that that is the starting point of the issues that we have.
Very interesting. I mean, people clam up naturally when you ask them to write letters. Like, I don't want my name to be on that email before they now victimize me. That's a major fear, especially with regards to um, bosses, right? People up the hierarchy. How do you address these issues? What would you advise? Fumi, feel free to add to this, and Bisaya as well. How do you advise people? What would be the most effective way to report these cases in office spaces?
Okay. So to add to what Fumi said before I answer your question, um, our findings from the survey also, or from the research, also showed that a lot of these employees who participated in the survey had low performance in their workplace because of, as a result of the sexual harassment, and they also had PTSD syndrome, anxiety, and some other um, mental health.
Lack of motivation to work.
Exactly, lack of motivation to work and all these things. And these subsequent things, or these consequences, they actually lead to high employee attrition rates. So if any organization is really really concerned about their motivation of their staff, and not losing talents, they would be interested in this survey as well. So to answer your question on how someone can actually address these issues, so first of all, you have to be firm and also, like I say, confront the person and let the person know what you're doing. I'm not comfortable with it. So that's the first step. Then you also owe it to yourself in any organization you work in, to also be able to um, do your research on if there's any workplace, if there's any standing policy on how to report workplace sexual harassment, what steps to follow, or you know how to just make sure you pull through that report. Like Fumi said, a lot of people will not want to actually come up and write an email. So these are um, things that have to be worked into the policy, because some people are actually scared that they can get fired if they actually come up and report a case. So another thing that you can do is also, after telling the person once and person, you report it. After reporting it, if there's nothing done about it, you can now try to like seek legal help.
Interesting. Thank you so much for mentioning that. And for me, might you add, beyond the whistleblower policy that I don't know that most corporate organizations have, or adapt to their processes, are there other effective ways that these cases could be reported?
Yeah, interestingly, I was on a panel yesterday talking about whistleblowing in the workplace. But I think that, as much as the individuals involved, have responsibility, even the organization should take responsibility for certain things. So you should have a sexual or harassment in the workplace policies, which, spell out, all these things, what constitutes offending, importantly, because I find that people do have all these policies. More importantly is the fact that management must be invested in seeing that people get redress when they bring up these issues. So don't just sweep it under the carpet. Investigate, and when you find that someone is guilty of these offenses, or make sure that the appropriate sanctions are administered, so that people then have trust in the process. And also, you must train your employees on what constitutes workplace negative behaviors, including sexual harassment. So don't just do policies, educate people. Do it secondly. at the beginning of the year, do it mid-year, do it end of the year. Even make them sign that they have, read and understood the policy and things like that.
Thank you so much. That sounds clear. It's important they're educated. Is it beyond just the policy? There's an education behind it, an orientation, so to speak, on the staff to recognize this behavior, this unwanted behavior, and the right channels to report that would not seem so damning on the staff. There are gray areas as well. We'll come back to those after the break. I would ask you questions along the lines of the reality of staff, colleagues getting married, and at what points still re-emphasizing the fact that sexual harassment really behooves on information and how the understanding of those borderlines that could be crossed. Let's take a break. We'll be back. Beside Ade Gube is my special guest, communications manager, Stand to End Rape Initiative, and Fumi Bokno, HR Madam, as well, aka, and HR consultant and human resources expert. It's Lagos Talks 981 special.
Providence Bank. Future forward banking.
Yeah.
What does future forward
I actually have a
banking
camera on me saying yeah.
Convenience, lifestyle goals, or just simply getting service that is designed just for you? Yeah, we thought you might like all of that and more. That is why we specially created Providence Bank
So, I think we've exhausted most of our talking points. Let's come back to take messages because I feel we have a lot of those. And a few calls for
So,
yeah.
stuff I actually wanted to include for,
Mention.
yeah, for the what steps organizations can take
Yes.
to make sure they report sexual, workplace sexual
I
harassment.
can, okay. I can bring us back to that after taking the messages. Today. Glad to know you're still there. You're listening to us here on Smooth 98.1. Love Music, Love Life. It's a Lagos Talk special conversation around workplace sexual harassment. I know a lot of people are cringing and say, oh my goodness, this is that I can't hug again. Is it a crime to tell you that you look nice? Stop it. Just know that when someone expresses a discomfort, has such remarks, it's bad, it's uncomfortable to them, so it shouldn't be encouraged, all right? And stop giving intimate gifts. Doesn't make it's not cute, it's not nice, it's not endearing. It's just plain sexual harassment, all right? The gray areas are not so much, and it's also good that you mentioned. Beside everybody, my special guest, you mentioned at the start of this conversation, as well as Fumi, that it's the responsibility of the person who feels harassed to make it clear to the other person who's harassing that what you're doing is inappropriate, you should stop. So it's key to ask the person to stop. Some people don't know how to say no. That's something else that we should consider. Some people don't know where to draw the line. That's on the part of the perpetrator. Some people don't know how to refuse what they can't accept. Just going back to my video I shared on Instagram. But what is the one easy way for me that you would say people can easily say no and sound like they mean it? For me.
Yes, yeah, thank you. I think that there is no other way to say no than to say no.
Mm.
No, I don't appreciate it. No, I don't like that comment. No, don't make comments about my appearance or about my clothing or anything. I think that's pretty much straightforward. I mean, there's no other way to say no than say no.
Thank you so much. Spell it out. Be clear. I think that's the most important part of what you just said. Thank you so much for me. Cisco Delgado sent in a message here on WhatsApp. He said, "You can see why I don't mingle with opposite partners at work. I recall the day I was on night shift and this lady was taking water from a dispenser and I was waiting for my turn. And what she was putting on was, oh my gosh, almost nude. And I wasn't comfortable, that so much so that I left the place immediately." Cisco, you're a good man. Well done. Yemi Richard says, what if the people in leadership are the perpetrators? How do you report the person you're supposed to be reporting to? Bisayo, I'd let you take on that. Imagine it's the HR officer. For me, no pun intended, but imagine if is the HR, I don't say HR madam, HR Oga, that is the perpetrator. How do you report that kind of person?
Exactly, that's a very good question. So in cases like this, of course you can't even report to the person that is already trying to harass you. So that's why I said you can also take legal action. after you've told the person you're not comfortable with this, and it's very, very important not to be intimidated by someone because of the status or anything. I know
It's easy to be intimidated
well, it's easy to
in
be
Nigeria.
intimidated in Nigeria, especially with the high unemployment rates.
Thank you.
You're always thinking of, oh, I can lose my job and
Yes.
everything, but you can also take legal action. And these are some of the services that STARE also gives out as well. We could help you with legal help. We could help you if you've if you've experienced any form of sexual harassment. You could also help you with employee support, like mental therapy and just therapy to help you with your if you're having PTSD or anxiety or stuff like that. Those are services we offer at STARE as well. And for the organizations that are really interested in making sure they set up workplace sexual harassment policies,
Yes.
we can also do trainings for those organizations as well. And where we can be contacted at contact us at standtoendrape.org. Our phone number is 08095967000, and all our social media handle Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn at Stand to End Rape.
Well done. You represent us there as well. Fumi, how do you suggest that companies should handle sexual harassment issues or cases that are reported to them, whether it's the guy at the top that is harassing, or is the son of the owner of the company that's the one, or the daughter, really? Because you find cases like that. But what are the most effective ways that you feel like companies
Yeah.
can handle them?
Okay, there's even something I would like to say before I answer that question, and it is, the issue of even people around keeping silent. No, we shouldn't encourage that. We should have a system where we encourage people to speak up when we see other people being intimidated or being harassed at work. So we should create a culture of people being confident to speak up against negative behaviors at work. So that's one. Then on the issue of, if you're being harassed, especially if it's by your own direct boss, I think that the starting point, and kudos to Stay, well done for all the work that you are doing. You can maybe report to that person's boss first, because really organizations should have internal channels where people can report such cases, right? And make sure you have all your facts, make sure you keep records of when all these things happened. Report the situation. It is when the organization hasn't done anything about it. So say for example they haven't taken time to investigate or to apply appropriate sanctions, then you can then go the legal route, like Bisa you said.
Quite right.
And
Yes.
the thing about Nigerians is that they're like, oh, I don't have time. I can't do this. No, the National Industrial Court is there for you to take up your case. They will make sure that you get judgment. So please do not keep quiet. And of course, if you need help, like Bisayo has said, reach out to STARE. They'll give you the appropriate support that you need. But I mean, that would be my contribution to the conversation.
Fumi, thank you so much, and thank you for mentioning the National Industrial Courts and as well as TERS, and thank you for and emphasizing the fact that it's not the usual reaction that people give. Say, "Oh, this is not Nigeria. Is the boss? How can you report the boss?" But you actually have different ways that you can get solution or your issue addressed. Hello, good morning. Thank you for joining us. What's your name?
My name is Ogbeni
Ogbeni. Where are you calling from?
from Ikeja.
Please go ahead with your contribution or question.
You see, in Nigeria, women overstretch everything. Women harass us every day by the way they dress. In Yoruba terminology, there is this word, "Oredu wokoche bilomo." When they have naked, we are men. We are able bodies. You are about to look at them. If you smile at them, you are harassing them. If you don't smile, you are very difficult, you are hard, you are unfriendly, all sorts. Now, women in Nigeria overcarry everything. I don't know what to do with these people. I don't know. If it's possible to do with women, I would have said we should go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Benny. But I don't know why will you smile? Like it's just like an expression of how what your the thoughts are. Couldn't you be thinking about the reports that you're going to send in? Why would you be smiling at a lady because of the way they are dressed? And it's not their fault if they can afford that dress. Just send me off. But anyway, thank you for your call. Still. Uh,
Sorry, please, can I just add something
yeah,
quickly
yeah,
to what
yes, please,
Ogbeni
please,
said?
please.
So,
Before.
I mean, I do know this is why. Sorry?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, so this is why organizations also need to have dress policies and practices.
Dress policies, you said. All right, we seem to be having network issues with Fumi. I guess it's the weather that's causing it. But Fumi, if you're still there, I'd like you to continue your thoughts, but also answer this question. Besides, I'll come to you. Cruz is asking, without making light of the situation, where does this statement, "stop it, I like it," fall into?
Stop it, I like it.
Yeah, people say it.
Yeah.
Yeah, people say it, as a joke, but it really means, oh, I say stop it, but I don't really mean it. So when
Okay.
female or male folk joke about that, let's joke with that statement.
Wait, because I mean, there can be inappropriate, and so this is why organizations.
Ah, all right, go ahead, Bisaya.
Okay. So it's just about being assertive. You can't be in the middle. So it's either you don't like it or you like it. And if you like it, that means it's a welcome behavior. But if you don't like it, then that means you're already drawing the line. That's sexual harassment. So it's about being assertive. If you're in the middle, you're dilly dallying, then no one can really help you because you haven't made a point. You haven't set boundaries. You haven't set it straight that, oh, sorry, I don't like this kind of behavior. But you're kind of like in the middle, and no help can be gotten by sitting on the fence.
On the fence. Thank you so much for that. Vokami Phantom, that's a good interesting name. He said, "Good morning. I am keen on diminishing sexual harassment to zero or become the exception and not the norm. However, there are some issues that people also refuse to deal with, and it's becoming a manophobic campaign." He said, "I have women in my life as family, friends, and colleagues I'd like to fight for and protect their dignity and rights. But please, can we also reflect on the following? One, is decent dressing an issue for both male and female, or can we dress anyhow and still expect a lack of response? I'm not saying it's the cause, but it's an enabler. Two, we're allowing the cultural influence around us, like music videos, our little girls wearing all these skimpy clothing, all in the name of fashion. Do you know that I can't even buy a knee-length skirt for my girls in Lagos today? Either order overseas or see it yourself. And three, do you know that there are universities in the country where girls actually line up to sleep with their lecturers and it's basically a norm and people are aware? I wonder how such an open secret is just ignored. Girls encourage other female students to do that, and the ones who refuse are treated with disdain. 4. We need to fundamentally educate the new generation about this and start to clean up the culture. 5. I think we are dealing with symptoms and not the root cause. We are, if not careful, terribly refracturing our social cultural environment, and it's sad for the damage we're causing each other. Harassment in all its forms is a no-no. Thank you for this, Voka, and for the well-worded message. Now, I have this message. Please add your names. Oh, Taiwo. Taiwo says, if Cisco Delgado's case is okay, sexual harassment against him. Yemi says, in actual fact, 90% of men in Nigeria are harassed by ladies. They just don't stare at men, but even eyelash you. Can I report this to you? If somebody is winking at you,
Yes, it's a form of sexual harassment.
what if I like it?
If you like it, then
Is it?
it's like I said, sexual behavior that is unwelcome. You understand? By the person that's subjected to it. It depends on the person that's subjected to it.
So until there's a report or
Yes.
until there's a no,
Exactly.
it's not until there's a no, it's
From the
not sexual
person.
harassment.
Exactly.
So if somebody, if a lady that some other guy is eyeballing, not me, some other guy, right, is eyeballing or hugging or giving some remarks that could be termed as sexual, does not complain. Or
If
does,
it's a welcome behavior and the
Yes.
person is sincerely, genuinely
and person is giving back that
interested,
vibe,
yes,
it's okay.
yes,
But when the person complains the first time, that's when you
Exactly.
should stop.
That's when you
Don't
should
wait
stop.
for when it repeats itself.
exactly.
Besides Derek, but thank you so much for having this conversation with me. I like how clear, the explanations were, especially the report you sent in. It was well, it had data, appropriate data to reflect some of the things that existed. But you wanted to add in closing.
Yeah. So in closing, what other thing that some policies have actually been made in the international sphere by the International Labour Organization. So one of them is the ratification of workplace sexual harassment, policies and procedures.
Yes.
So I believe if these policies are also implemented in Nigeria, we can actually like stamp our feet and make it well known that organizations in Nigeria should actually have workplace sexual harassment. So this is one way to actually tackle it full time in Nigeria.
To have the best practices adopted by organizations.
Exactly, and Zimbabwe is also actually spearheading this project as well. They've also run like a national strategy on workplace sexual harassment, prevention strategy, basically.
Thank you so much. Beside Erigbe, Communications Manager, Stand to End Rape, that's STAIRS Initiative, and Fumi Bokno, HR Madam, HR Consultant and Human Resources Expert. My name is Valentine Uhu. Join us again. Next time we'll have a special. You can watch any part of the information you missed on YouTube. It's Smooth FM Lagos and on Instagram Live at STAIRS, right?
Yeah, Stand to End Rape.
Stand to End Rape. Thank you so much. Stay with us. Next is Locker Room in Sports.
This is Tommy O. Keep it tuned right here on Smooth 98.1.
Thank you.
Big protein breakfast.
Thanks.